Chapter 1. Melody. So a melody is a line, right, or the tune in music. And these key points, you'll see them in the text when you get your text, that if it's a bold word, it's a word that you should put into vocabulary, because that's what we need to do. Is this whole part one is establish some common knowledge that we could use to study music and talk about music. So the melody is often called the line or the tune in music. And we're going to talk about the contour, the shape of the melody. And then we use the word range. You know, a melody could be a relatively few notes, or it could be a very large number of notes that span a big distance of pitches or not. And so we talk about the contour. We use the word interval, right, meaning the space between any two pitches, right? So if we say that interval is close, but that interval is large. And then conjunct and disjunct. Conjunct means that the notes move in a stepwise motion. So if I say stepwise, I would say from a scale, right? It moves in steps. But if it's disjunct, right? And that would be they're not next to each other like this. Or that's disjunct. And then so conjunct, the notes are close to each other, part of a scale, and disjunct, they jump all over the place. Phrases, and we use the word cadence, meaning the end of a phrase. So we'll talk about that when we get to that slide. A melody may be accompanied by a secondary melody called a counter melody. So we use the term pitch, which is the frequency, which means the number of vibrations per second. And so a low note has few vibrations per second, but a high note has many vibrations per second. And they look like this, really. A sine wave. We studied about sine waves, so that's what the music looks like in a way, right? So short string, fast vibration. So this is the way it is with musical instruments. And the same thing with the vibration. So I said if it's a high note, the notes are compressed. So if you can look at my guitar, let's see, can I say this over here? Right. All right. So if the string is going to vibrate the whole length from the bridge down here to the nut, then that's the length of the string. And if I should put my finger down, what am I doing? I'm shortening the length of the string, right? The shorter it is, right? The shorter it is, the higher the sound. And the other way to change the pitch is by the thickness or the density, right? So on the guitar, we have big fat strings that have a low sound, and we have high strings that are thin. And of course, the other way to alter the pitch is by tension, right? How tight the strings are. Right? So if it's loose, it's going to sound lower, and if it's tight, it's going to sound higher. We'll put this back to share. And then on a music staff, it makes sense that the notes that are higher on the staff sound higher, and the notes that are lower on the staff sound lower. So we talked about timbre in another video, right? Tone color, distinct sound quality. We said the difference between a trumpet and a violin or a guitar, even though they play the same pitch. So we already talked about this, right? The range. Children's songs have a narrow range. Da 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 dee da da. Or it could be large, right? And then the overall shape. We're going to look at this in the next slide, I think. Counter melody is there's a secondary melody that, so you have two melodies at the same time, and the melody and the counter melody. All right, let's look at these examples. The first one, and we're talking about the contour of it, right? And you can see, and they have this little graph that also shows you the shape of this melody. And it says the contour, it's wave-like, and it's conjunct because it goes to the next line or space without jumping around. Okay, to play it with. So that is a conjunct melody that it goes up and it comes down and it goes up. So we'd say it's wave-like. And here, this melody, and if I played these notes, we would say, is that a melody? And you say, well, it's a scale, but I don't know if it's a melody. But if I play what's written there with the rhythm, the same notes, but with the rhythm, now is it a melody, right? Same notes, okay? And so we would say that melody is descending, and we say it's conjunct, right? Doesn't have any leaps. Now this one, the Star Spangled Banner, is a very difficult song to sing because it is disjunct, right? It jumps all over the place, and it also has a very large range, right? Wide. So even this little example has from this note, right? So and they show you the shape of it. So we say that is disjunct because it jumps all over the place. All right, now phrases. Now that's a phrase, but the way it ends, it doesn't sound like it's over. It sounds like it's incomplete. By the next part. Another phrase, still incomplete. Now the next part. Another end of a phrase, incomplete. The last line I'm going to play. We say that phrase is complete. It's the end. And we know it's the end. I'm going to play a little piece. Let me put this on stop share. And then I just want to play some music by Bach, right? And to talk about the melody. It's okay, that's a long phrase, but that's the end of the phrase. But it also is an incomplete phrase. We know there's more coming, right? And the next part starts the same, but it ends differently. It ends with a full cadence. End of the phrase, we know it's over. Now there's another melody that goes with this, right? 2, 3. Anyway, so both together is polyphony. End of chapter 1.